Yo, what you saying? What you spraying back again with another stream? You know them way there, and you're right. It is another about the fan, and today it's gonna be a good one, especially for all the Spurs fans out there in the world. So just make sure real early. You're doing that. You get me that kunai practice. Dashing the kunai on the likes. Get them like targets hit. Make sure you're subscribing to the channel. And also make sure that you are subscribing to Jords Durag Diaries. It is in the title. It is in the description. There is no excuses for you not to be subscribing to the Bros Dems channel, innit? So basically, obviously, y'all that know, can't really respond to messages in the chat because obviously the structure of the show, and this will be getting dropped as a podcast on Spotify. However, any questions that any of you do have for Jords, send them through as a super chat, and at the end I will be asking him any questions from the village. So yeah, man, obviously person I'm going to be bringing through, he's very, very well known in the footballing community. You get me? He's been on loads of shows here, there, everywhere. You see him on all the big channels. He's one of my favorite Spurs fans. He's definitely flying the flag properly. And oddly enough, he's not one of he's not one of them man that live in the sky. Do you know what I mean? He is down to earth when he wants to be about his club, which we enjoy to see. And he has recently embarked on his own journey with his own channel. So obviously, let's support him as best as we can, and let's welcome him in, man like Jords. What are you saying?
I'm on, bro. Thank you for having me back. Thanks for having me on this show about the fan. It's interesting. No one's really wanted to hear about me as a fan, so it's the first one I ever get called on. Man was giving me too much flowers. Not everyone knows me. Not that many people know me. So if you don't know, get to know. Jords Durag Diaries, man. Thanks for having me.
Obviously, and because this is going to be getting dropped on Spotify as well, and there may not be people that listen the whole way through. Let's get it out nice and early. Where can people find you?
Durag Diaries _4 Jords on Twitter, or Durag Diaries anywhere else, man. That's literally it. You type either of those handles in, my name will come up. So yeah, man, just catch me there.
Perfect, sweet. So I'm sure people, as we go along, you're gonna find out that it is possible for an Arsenal fan and a Spurs fan to have a very civilized conversation. Them way there. But look, I like to start the show with a show starter question, innit? So picture this, yeah. We're in a fantasy world, fantasy world. And basically a special power has gone, look, yeah. Spurs have had a problem with being able to win the Premier League. They haven't been able to do it. But what we're gonna do, Jords, is we're gonna allow you to pick any player that's played for Tottenham in the past or currently plays for Tottenham now, and you're gonna build an 11 that is gonna go on and win the Premier League. And you're also gonna choose a manager. And yes, everybody is fully fit, which does mean Ledley King has a knee. Who do you pick to win this league?
It's the man in the thumbnail and the man in the picture, man. There's only one man, the guy that inspired me to wear this shirt. I bought this shirt year 11, 12. Balling out. This guy made me fall in love with football, fall in love with my club properly. Like, you have those players that, like, when you're young, you appreciate them. But there's always that one player that actually made you fall in love with your club. Gareth Bale, man. Gareth Bale. I remember all the moments when I was a kid watching the games, the goals he was scoring, the things he was going in school. I was having arguments with everyone. What? Best player in the world? You mad? They were there. Like, that's what I was looking forward to. All these things. So now, Gareth Bale, I'd build a Tottenham team around him 100 years from now. Like that guy's forever gonna be a Tottenham great, man.
But who else goes in there? The whole 11. You got to pick the whole 11.
Oh, the whole 11. Okay, I thought you meant who am I building it around?
No. You get to build the whole 11 from scratch to go and win the league.
All right. Good. This is a good question then. So I suppose I'm gonna have to go Hugo in goal. Hugo in his pomp and his prime, he was a real strong goalkeeper. Obviously, the latter years weren't great. And we saw the worst of him at times. Arson Cheeks, Leo Lloris is what I called him. He had a bad nickname, bro. So I'd put him in goals still. The centre back pairing. Do you know what? I love Ledley, and he's one of my favorite players because when I was a kid, again, that's one of those players that just you grow up and you know, like there's that certain. And I've met him before as well, so it's one of those ones where like I hold him in a high regard, even just outside of a player and his ability. Like because the two best centre backs I've seen for me watching was the partnership of Toby and Jan Vertonghen. Like watching them together for me was generally like the best centre back pairing in the league at the time, most definitely. When Pochettino had us like defending for our life, but just the way them two, for me, they literally defined what you call a modern day centre back. They play with the ball from the back with the feet, commanding the game, winning head. They had everything. So if I had to go to win the league, I'm not gonna lie, I'm putting them as a pairing in there. Like I can't take one without the other. I've got to drop Ledley. Ledley's like my favorite player, but I'm gonna drop Ledley for both of them to go in together. I can't lie.
Even Ledley with a knee. Ledley with
a knee is definitely better than Toby Alderweireld. There's no doubt about that, yeah. But I don't want to mash up the chemistry. The chemistry was just like the whole back line. I'm throwing as that Poch back line. Like that back line for me, Walker, Alderweireld, Jan Vertonghen, Danny Rose. That was a back line for me. Like that was just it. Every player, high flying fullbacks. Again, two players that define what a fullback is today. Running up and down that wing, attacking play. So that would be my back five. Going into the midfield, this guy, Musa Dembele. I know. Do you know what? That's one guy that even as a rival fan, you have to say he's one of the best players I've ever watched. He generally is like as a footballer, as a pure footballer, there isn't much players that you can watch that supersede what he was on the ball. He's just so good. Everything about him, even trying to describe his game is so weird because like if you try to tell a kid what was Dembele good at, I'm just like, bro, like you just had to watch it, like the shifting of the ball, keeping, like you just couldn't get the ball off him, bro. Like that's what it was. He's a midfielder, you couldn't get the ball off him. He's not necessarily getting you assists, he's not getting you goals. So the GA man, they'll be looking at his stats, bro. This guy's dead. Nah. Watch everything about it, controlling games. So I'd put him in the middle of my midfield. Let me think of some real Spurs names. You know, I have to get in my bag right now because midfielders is I mean, you can't go without mentioning Ballon d'Or himself. You know, Luka Modric. It'd be crazy for me to mention a Spurs midfield without him. Another player during these times when I was wearing these tops, Luka Modric just. Man went to Real Madrid, bro. That said enough. Like when you're seeing Tottenham players go to Real Madrid, like that was for me. It was just like, bro, what's going on here? My Real Madrid want my players. Like, why are you coming to my club, small Tottenham, all these like 2 years in a row and taking our best players? Taking the piss. I definitely know like that was the deal with my next man that I'm throwing in there. Again, this is probably more vibes. This guy was vibes because he was only here for a short time, but vibes and impact. Like he's probably one of those guys that you talk about impact up here, like time at Tottenham down here. Raphael van der Vaart. You know, I know you know about that one because 3-2 Emirates, one of the last big performances away from home, the North London derby. That man led us. And again, for me, is I keep thinking about players that give me good vibes, good feelings. So like watching them high level as well as. You know, outside of that, like, because I could throw in a little Eriksen in there. I could throw in a maybe more creative player, but for me, just Van der Vaart within this team, within this setup, perfect, man. Number 10, that's just going to be running into the edge of the box, bagging a goal. And then, man, on the wings, because I'm doing a 4-3-3, you know, typical, simple. Right wing, you know, Gareth Bale's got his position over there. The man in the middle is sort of self-explanatory, although I was calling him out the other day. Man like Harry, man. Harry has given me many good memories. He's given me some bad ones. I'm not going to lie. And he probably hasn't given me no amazing memories, but he's given me some good times. He's given me many good times as Spurs fan. I've seen him score more goals in a Spurs shirt than any player I probably ever will. So he's in the middle. And then it's the man that's still leading us, man. Captain Sonny's out on the left. Can't say no other different. Again, in his prime, Captain Sonny is clutch, like Kobe, clutch. All these times against City, bagging goals. There was no Harry Kane. It was Son doing everything. So yeah, that's my team. It's looking back at it, I probably could have added some more throwback players, and there's probably some older Spurs fans that might want to throw a Gascoigne or Hoddle. And I didn't watch these, man. I know these, man, are like, for me, they're like icons. They're icons,
Yeah.
Spurs icons, mad ballers, but I didn't watch these, man. So I ain't got the feeling with them. I ain't got that connection. So these are all players that I've watched probably their full Spurs career, all the ones I mentioned, and they gave me that feeling, man, that connection that they should have done something. That back line should have won a league. It didn't. But that, with those players ahead of them, there'll be no doubt about it. I know that for real.
No Edgar Davids.
No Edgar Davids, man. Edgar Davids is good, but again, like I can't drop Modric for him. And Dembele he's number again. Like after Bale, I would have slid him second man in the team, like building the team around him. And Van der Vaart just in that 10, I feel like he has so much to offer. So the only other player I'd drop for Van der Vaart, and I wouldn't even. Yeah, it'd just be Van der Vaart there. Like Ericsson had a good time. You know, Delhi in his prime was all right, but like they're not taking over Van der Vaart.
Delhi in his prime though. There was a few seasons where Delhi was just. He looked like
he was ahead of the rest.
Yeah, he looked like he was gonna go on to be something special, and I think maybe he's like evidence of a player that actually suffered from like not winning. Do you know what I mean? Because when you're playing at such a high level and then you're not seeing any like success from it, like not everyone can handle that. So maybe Delhi's actually an example of a player that really needed to win something during that period of time when you guys had your little spell where you was dominating in certain aspects of the game. All right, cool. So you got your 11. Which Tottenham manager are you putting to manage this team? Well, I guess coach this team to win in the league.
Oh, now this is where it gets difficult, you know, because I'll be honest with this one. Tottenham hasn't had no amazing managers. Because throughout this full time of me being a Spurs fan, there is obviously, we've not been winning like that. We've had Juande Ramos who took us to your League Cup. It was good vibes for the moment, but man finished 11th or I think it was 11th or 13th. Finished somewhere crazy, but he couldn't even speak English. Man was just there doing what man had translator next to him. Yeah. Tell man like dead. It was never gonna work. I don't know why Spurs even done that. If I'm gonna do it in my time frame of being a fan, innit? Because I'm not gonna speak about it again. Like I could throw in a Bill Nicholson and just that's easy. He already won the double with Spurs. Martinho's a good one. I did like Martinho. I feel like he could have done better with Spurs, and if he had a bit more time, he would have. But you know, I don't fuck with snakes, so I'm gonna go Harry Redknapp. Actually, no. Nah, because you know what? I'm the reason I'm thinking about it so much, because if I'm being logically with this team and with this team, I'm gonna have to throw it to Jose, innit? Jose was he was a Tottenham manager. I'm gonna have to, but it's sort of shameless because I ain't trying to claim no other man's legend. You get what? And I ain't claiming next man's thing like that. That's not me. So I'm gonna stick with a Harry. But if I was being, you know, logically, I would have said Mourinho because Mourinho's winning everything with this team. Whereas Harry, he can go and do the Prem on vibes, you know, like Harry Redknapp.
Don't you think that 11, a really good manager for that 11 would be Ange? Ange's brand of football with that 11 probably slaps.
I haven't seen enough from Ange to think that he could even take that like a better team to the finish line. I feel like for me, I believe in Ange, and like I said, I'm Ange in, so I'm actually all for what he's doing right now. But at the same time, I have a lot of questions with him of can he get a team at the top level over the finish line? Not sure whether he could do it. I look at Redknapp, and I mean, he took Portsmouth to FA Cup final and they won it. Like, and I've seen him again with Tottenham achieve a lot, and probably would have achieved more if he got the backing of the directors. Because like I know we look at what Tottenham are doing now and it's still not great, but what we were doing then, we were getting away with murder with some of the signings, man, like Fraser Campbell and them, man. Like I need a striker to replace Dimitar Berbatov, and man, bring in Fraser Campbell. Like I couldn't even imagine being a manager at them times under Daniel Levy, because we were selling man that were going to play Champions League clubs, and they'd be like, yeah, bring me that League One player. He's banging 15 over there. He's gonna do something. Like, what? Madman. So yeah, I think Ange would struggle, or I'd need to see it more from Ange, but Redknapp most definitely, because I feel like he's one of those managers, proper old school. They not really too much on the tactics. Obviously, they do. He was still tactically very good, but he had players playing at their best. Like, he'd know how to get a player back to top four.
He was definitely one of those man managers, really good at man management.
Proper
really
man manager.
Really good at getting the best out of a player. Like, he's definitely like I can imagine a lot of the young players at the time like looked up to him like, yeah, okay.
Like, he's one of those ones. Like what they say about Ange, like he's like a pops, innit? He's like, you go to, he's like your dad, man. You know, like you see all these players that played for West Ham when he was there, the Lampards, the Joe Coles, the Defoes, they all talk about how Redknapp was key to their career. And for that, like you say, I think it'd be key, man. Like, he'd do class for us. If he had better players, he would have been class. But for me, and definitely when I look back, I think he's one of the best in the English managers like I've seen. I don't rate English managers that much. So for me, Redknapp's one of the up there like English managers.
Fair. I can't, off the top of my head, I can't think of too many English managers, at least that I've seen in my time, that I could say is comfortably ahead of Harry Redknapp. He's definitely up there.
I can't even think of many that have like won trophies. There's probably like a handful, like major trophies anyways. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, English managers really haven't been that successful.
Think up the gaff, man.
It's actually quite shambolic, especially considering that, like, England gets like heralded for being the nation that, created football. It's actually quite strange that, there hasn't really been too many. Well, I guess in our day and age, there hasn't been too many successful England managers. But all right, well, you know what? The team that you built, maybe a strong potentiality. There was I'll be honest. There's a lot of good players in there. A lot of good players in there. I won't lie. I was a bit shocked that you didn't take the Ledley with a knee, because I think Ledley with a knee is actually probably one of, if not the best like English defender to have played in the league. I think the fact that he had virtually no knee actually hurt not only Tottenham but probably England quite a lot when he was playing ball. Like, he's a defender that a lot of like players come out and say, yo, like, this guy's defending. Like, he's kind of like the Van Dijk before Van Dijk, innit? Like, he wasn't really the guy that would always like jump in and not really think. Like, he was kind of someone.
He was one of those ones. Like, I know. I remember Henri saying it. Henri said it enough times.
Henri,
My man was the hardest defender to play against, because it's not he won those ones. He's putting a foot in. It's because he knows where you're gonna be. He's always reading the game. He's a step ahead, and he's apparently Ledley was blowers. Man, they were saying he's fast, and with one knee being able to blow like that. And I remember them saying like he'd train once or twice a week. He'd do sitting like they're doing swimming things, and them ones like trying to do the recovery, rehabilitation all week. Do 1-2 training sessions, and he's giving you that top performance. It's one of those ones, and it was unfortunate. Let me not lie, like, he could always slide in the team, but the pairing was just, I've seen that pairing too clean. Like, I think we only conceded one season like 25, 26 Premier League goals 1 year under them. So I know that them two together rock.
Solid. Yeah. Okay. No, I hear that. I completely hear that. So, tell me about your journey as a Spurs fan. Like, how did it start? Why did you choose Spurs? And has there ever been a moment? Well, there's probably been loads, but has there ever been a moment in your journey where you've kind of regretted choosing Spurs as a TV support?
I might like I didn't hear that last question, but where it started for me, I don't actually remember choosing Tottenham as a team. That's one thing I will say. I feel like it was my pops a Spurs fan, and my granddad and my pops are Spurs fans. I grew up in Walthamstow, which is like, I guess the local club is Tottenham and Arsenal. Apart, if you want to go Leyton Orient, you could say them too. But with regards to big clubs, that was my local club. So it's one of those things. My pops, my granddad supported them. I'd only ever known, like, as far as I can remember, I've only ever been a Spurs fan. So that's probably my way into it. Sort of forced into it, you could say. I know my first memories as a Spurs fan, I was too young to remember the Invincible season, but I remember the season after, but only because I remember seeing certain things that year. I remember, was it Liverpool beat West Ham in the FA Cup final that season. I remember watching that. I think one of them, like 04, 05, 05, 06. I remember them being my first few seasons in football, just seeing the things. 05, 06 most definitely, because that was Lasagna Gate. I remember that year I remember that year. I was actually watching ball because I thought we got top 4. It was a big thing, like Spurs in top 4. I was like, yeah. And then things happened last game of the season. Arsenal moving, doing their thing. The Red Devils and, always playing their way through, probably slip something underneath the table, players in their man too. But yeah, that like my early days as a Spurs fan, I can't lie, weren't that bad, man. Like we had Martin Yeo, and then after a few years, like I said, within 3-4 years of me sporting at Spurs, we won things, bro. We won. I remember that day, Carabao Cup settings, Carling Cup 2008. I was like 9-10 years old, 4-5 years into a Spurs fan. I was like, rah, we're winning things, yeah. Like we're doing our thing. It was that same season when Portsmouth won as well. So it was just like, Rob, this was happening. Like teams is winning. And then the next year, go straight back to the final. We work our way. I remember that year. I can't lie. I cried that year, man. I cried watching us. You know what? I couldn't believe it that Man United had put out their second goalkeeper at the time, which was Ben Foster. And man saved nearly all the penalties, bro. Saving pen after pen after pen. I was like, the tears just started rolling because I realized we're not winning this. Yeah. Man United were inevitable. And that's when I started to really realize, at the time under Ferguson, Man United were inevitable. And then we had the games after that. They took Berbatov off us. And then they took him off us in January, actually. So he come and beat us at the end of that season. It was dark. And then... yeah, man, I remember all those games they used to go 2-0 up and they'd come back, beat you 3-2, and those things happen. But my journey as a Spurs fan, like, for me, I got into it early, and then I was head in from, like, I say 09, 010, because so many things happen pretty quick as a Spurs. We were going levels and levels and levels up. So, like, when people say Spurs are shit and all these things, like, to me as a younger fan coming through at the time, we'd only been getting better and then better and better. So I'd only see my team take steps up, because then, as I said, after we won it, we went Champions League, first time in Champions League in a Premier League. So that was huge for us. Took that step forward. And then we had Bale, Modric, had all these players. I fall in love with the team. And that's when I was in heavy. After the Bale had really took off, and Inter Milan season 010, 011, I was into it heavy. Like, you couldn't even get me away from football. I was watching ball every week, there midweek, weekend, midweek, weekend. And yeah, man, it's sort of just... things went there, and then under Pochettino started to hit a peak, and it all come crashing down. But if you talk about moments as a Spurs fan, where, I feel like as I've got older, I've got to the point where, like I said, I just feel like when these things happen, I've got to the... like, I don't ever wish that I wasn't a Spurs fan. I just think, fuck, man, it's only Spurs. Like, this shit. Like, what the Champions League final, for example, I remember one time when I was watching that game, I was in the pub, game started, pub was mad packed, but where I used to live at the time, you used to have one pub there, it's like, and then another pub like right next to it. So I was in that pub and I was like, oh man, this one's packed. Dude, let's go to the other one, get a better view, better vibes. I promise you, I walked from here to there, I'd seen there's a penalty. I'm like, nah. I'll go outside. Nah. Like, how? Like, the biggest moment of my life as a Spurs fan, no doubt about that. Champions League final, biggest moment of my life is ruined within a minute into the final. Yeah, I can't lie, like, heartbroken. That was the one day I was sat there, I was like, oh, I wish I wasn't a Spurs fan. Like, just for that moment, I was like, fuck, only Spurs that could happen to, 1 minute into your, like, biggest day of your year, biggest day of your life, and we've already ruined it. Although like, when you look back at it, it's poor decision from the ref and so on, but ultimately, like, I feel like only these things happen to Spurs. Like, if it was Arsenal, you wouldn't have got the penalty, it wouldn't have been given against you, but because it's Spurs, it's bad luck, innit? It finds us. So it's one of them ones. That'd probably be the only moment I'd say where I looked back and I was like, rah, I don't know about Spurs, man. Like, this team's done bad here, man.
Do you know what's actually crazy about that Champions League final is, if I'm removing, like, I guess, tribalism, if I'm removing tribalism and the fact that I'm an Arsenal fan, and I kind of look at it like from, I guess, a balanced perspective, it was probably the season, you could argue you deserved to win in that final, innit? Like, and I mean that from the aspect of like, if you look what you man did against Ajax. Wait, if I'm correct, didn't you knock out Man City? You beat Man. It was Man
Knocked out
City.
Man
Knocked
City in
out
the
Man City.
quarterfinals.
Yeah, and then you had that mad game against Ajax where you guys came back, right? It was like some mad, like what, four.
So what it was, they were 2-0 up. I think they won. No, they were. I think they won 2-0 in the first leg, and then 1-0. Was it 2-0? Yeah, they'd already won 2-0 in the first leg. That's what it was. So they were 2-0 up on aggregate.
Yeah, and you man turned, and they had the masterclass from Lucas Moura in it. I do remember that, and like I remember because I went to a pub in Tottenham to watch the final in it because one of my friends is a Liverpool fan in it. So the first thing I was like, wow, why is Harry Kane starting? Like, why is Harry Kane starting, and why is Lucas Moura not starting? And I think literally, you man probably lost that final at team selection, because I firmly believe if Harry Kane doesn't start because he was coming back for an injury and he probably used a bit of player power and his status in the club to kind of put pressure on Poch and that, no, you have to play me, you know, this is Champions League. There's no way you're not playing me in Champions League final. And you man done Moura dirty because the only reason you was in the final is because of Lucas Moura. I think if you just leave Harry Kane on the bench and maybe bring him on in the second half, maybe 60th minute, 65th minute, something like that, and let him have like 35, 40 solid minutes of just like, cool, go and show the world why you're the best striker, you man probably win that final. But then on the flip side, I have to give the highest like grace and like praise and like gratitude to Liverpool, because if Tottenham ever won a Champions League before Arsenal, there would be no hooks on YouTube. There would be no about the fact right now. They would. I don't even know if hooks would be in the UK. Like hooks might all be in America. I'm a NFL, NBA fan now. Like, what's football? Do you know they made there? Because the Tottenham, like, as an Arsenal fan, like the fact of like Tottenham winning a Champions League or Tottenham winning the Premier League is a very scary proposition for me as an Arsenal fan, in it, because I know, I mean, especially as an Arsenal fan that grew up in North London, like I used to live like a 5-minute walk from the Tottenham ground. Like that's how close like man was to the Tottenham fans. Like it's a mad proposition, isn't it? And you know what? Yeah, this might be because I don't know. I've always just taken the rivalry as what it is, isn't it? You know, like we're both North London clubs. You know, there's obviously their backstories that a lot of Tottenham fans like to draw upon, like, oh, you came from South London, you're not a North London club, yada yada yada. But then factually, Arsenal was actually a North London club before Tottenham was a North London club, but people just don't understand this. They don't do the research. What is the rivalry actually like from your perspective as a Tottenham fan? Like, what is it? I don't know. What does it feel like? Like, what does it feel like going in like every season, like going like, all right, cool. When am I facing Arsenal? And then obviously going through the season and being like, okay, Tottenham's here, Arsenal's here. Like, what is it actually like, the Tottenham perspective of the Arsenal rivalry?
Yeah. So do you know about being too hyperbolic? Yeah, because I know a lot of rival fans say this about our derby, but I've generally always thought Tottenham and Arsenal is the biggest derby in world football. Like when I maybe you take apart from Real Madrid and like the old Clasico, I look at this derby and I genuinely think like there's no derby that's as bitter as it's not as exciting. And the fans aren't as into this derby as a lot of derbies are. Like, we hate Arsenal fans. Like, when I told you on streams before, bro, I wake up and I remember I used to be one of these Twitter trolls. I used to be on Twitter bears when I was a bit younger, maybe like 18, 19, tweeting bear. My general whole thing was like, if I can make an Arsenal fan have a bad day today, then I'm winning. Like, I'm up. I'm up on this record right now. And that's how I used to be a Twitter bandit, bro. Obviously, as we get older, I'm sort of still out of it. But at the same time, I tell you, like you know from how I speak about Arsenal, I know. Like I'm tuned in. I'm clocked in. And I wouldn't be this clocked in if I didn't hate you, man. I genuinely hate Arsenal with a passion. Like I want to see you, man, fail so bad. Like it's one of those rivalries that, like, even as someone, as soon as you get into being a Spurs or Arsenal fan, it's one of the first things you're informed about. Like, just make sure you know that you hate them boys over there. Like, make sure that them, man, you're not cool with them. Even though I can't lie, like the actual rivalry, like, because where we grew up, and sure the same for you, most of my people, them are Arsenal fans. Let me not lie, like most of my boys are Arsenal fans. I'm around it every day. So on that point of view, it is like it's not that deep. But when I'm there, I've been to a Tottenham Arsenal game, the one where we beat you guys 3-0 for top 4 challenge a few years ago. Like the intensity, the atmosphere, I feel like there's nothing better than this rivalry. It's electric. That's the best way to describe it. It's electric, and you know what? It brings life. It brings life because like I said, I probably wouldn't have some of my closest friends if they weren't Arsenal fans. Because we you just get talking to someone, you start arguing with them. You're like, do you know what? Nah, he's a cool brother though. Like outside of Tottenham Arsenal, he's a cool brother. And I mean, it's one of them ones, isn't it? So, nah, I'll give him that.
Yeah, no, I would agree. Like, I can't. Well, obviously, I don't really know the context of like for example, the Celtic Rangers. Like, I know that it's like mad fiery, like from like the fan base perspective, like it's crazy. Like these men properly go to war with each other. But I would argue the competitiveness of it, because like they're not the don't get me wrong, they're good for their own leagues, in it, but they're not really the greatest, if that makes sense. Like, and then when I look at El Clasico, I'm not Spanish, so I don't really know the context. Obviously, both of them are like insane teams, but I don't know what the fan feeling is like. Like, I don't know if it's like, are they at each other's necks, or is it just like it's an appreciation of high level, high quality football, if you know what I mean. Yeah. I don't know how deep the battle runs in it. And the only other kind of derby I can think about is Manchester United versus Liverpool. But then, even then, like they're not in the same city. Do you know what I mean? So like, how often is a Liverpool brother going to be walking around Liverpool and just see a Manchester United fan sporting the jersey? He's not really going to see it, innit? But like with the Arsenal Tottenham, whenever the Arsenal fans go to the Tottenham ground, like they need to like the Arsenal fans just can't be just walking
no
willy-nilly about the streets.
Police
Like,
escort, 100 police there.
Yeah, bro, like hella police, bro. So I know from a footballing perspective, in terms of the quality of the football, what you're gonna see on the pitch and the fieriness between the fans, like I would say it's probably unmatched. And I mean, from my perspective as an Arsenal fan, like as soon as fixtures are released, but the first thing I'm looking for is cool. When are we spliffing these, man? What's the dates? Like, I need to know. Like, I need to make sure I'm free on those days. Like the home and the away, in it. So it is electric. I think electric is probably the best word to use for it. And I think that even neutrals would agree. Like, from a neutral perspective, especially when it comes to Premier League, they'd probably go, yeah, do you know what? This is probably the better.
And it's like you said, one of the biggest things is I don't even think there's a rivalry in world sports where you have two of the biggest clubs right like 10-15 minutes away from each other. Literally, you can bop down the road down there, bop down the road, and you're gonna meet up like
one train.
Literally, couple stops. It's not literally it's a couple stops on the train, bro. Round the corner. You think I've done that visit to the Emirates Stadium a few times. Like,
a few times, yeah? Well, you're brave enough.
Valleyed up.
Well, the valley, you have to put out the valley, yeah, because you're famous. Then I'm gonna clock you on the roadside. Yeah, man. You gotta be careful around them sides, blood. Yeah. But you know what, yeah? Cool. So obviously we spoke a bit about we spoke a bit about the Champions League final, innit? And I would say the build up to that could arguably be like one of the best moments you've experienced as a Tottenham fan, innit? Because it's like, oh damn, Tottenham, we're going to Champions League final. Like on the day, I can imagine it's just bare hype, bare juice, all of them things there, good vibes, all of that. But what would you say is the moment that kind of like most resonates with you as a Spurs fan? Like when you're thinking about Spurs, like what kind of moment that you've experienced kind of sticks the most, and are you able to like paint a picture of that for us?
Oof, it's a good question, because there's been a lot of moments I'd say stand out. Obviously, like you said, that. So, do you know what? It probably is that going into that, to be fair. It's probably that Ajax moment. Like, I remember sat in my front room, watching the game as usual on the edge of our seats. Because I said it a bit wrong earlier. We were on aggregate, we were 3-0 down. It was 1-0 the first leg, 2-0 second leg. And then we'd already scored. Lucas Moura 2 goals in the second half. So it was 3-2 on aggregate going into that last minute. And I just remember, man, like, if I'd just picture a guy running up and down the house. And these times, then I remember I lived on top of a shop. So man's in my yard. I just had my first baby. She's probably like a couple months old. Screaming down the yard like, yeah! Like, I'm screaming, going mad. What? We're in the final. You know the ones you're getting the pump, you're going chest, you're banging your chest. Banging my chest, stamping on the floor. Remember that for 10, 15 minutes, I'm just sitting there and you're going mad. And then you get that moment where you're not going mad no more, but you're really thinking, you're just like, raw, we can do it. Yeah, sitting there, came by like, raw, we can really do it. Like Spurs, champions. I never thought I'd even say these things. Like Tottenham Champions League final. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't even believe that we were getting to that moment. So yeah, for me, that'd probably be the one that's like it's the defining moment for me as a Spurs fan. Because even though it was like not that long ago, and obviously all leading up to it is quite poetic. Like I said, everything that happened, we didn't sign no one that summer, so I'd had pretty much no expectations of the season. Like that season for me was pretty much a write-off. Like we can get top 4 because we're sort of in that position where Arsenal and I, you're better than the rest, but you're not that great. Yeah. But I wasn't really confident. So for us to go so far, beating the City in that first game, the way that we did, dismantled them, and then the second, and then being able to do that against Ajax, yeah, man, it was, yeah, man, poetic. That's the best way. It's poetic. But yeah, it ended how it ended at the end of the day. So it's still it's one of those things. It's like it's a nice moment to look back on, but very, very bittersweet. Now I deep it like further because. We were never going to beat Liverpool. That's as much as I like to sit here and think, the story was great and so on. That Liverpool team was so much better than that Spurs team. We had man like Harry Winks starting, Musa Sissoko starting. Like it was a bad Tottenham team. It was one of those ones running pure off vibes.
Do you know what? Yeah. After so look, yeah, I would say getting to a Champions League final is. I think it's a fantastic achievement, personally, for any football club. Especially for a football club that's never done it before. I think that's a fantastic achievement. Obviously, I was a lot younger when Arsenal did it in 2006 and just getting to the final and being able to sit down and watch your team play in a Champions League final is it's epic. We all want to, we all sit down and watch.
Because like I said, it's not just you watching it. Now the whole world's on our eye. Exactly. The whole world's watching my club.
Exactly. It's all about your club, innit? And it's a nice feeling. And I think it's a fantastic achievement. But what were realistically, what was your expectations after that? Because cool, you made it to the Champions League final and you lost it. What was your expectations? Because surely you must be thinking, we got to a Champions League final without investing in the summer. So surely the board to go, oh, what right? This is what we can do without investment. Like, what if we actually invest properly? Like, did you expect like Spurs to from that point to go, I guess, upwards?
Kick on.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Because every year up until that point, Pochettino had improved, had gotten better. And I'd already known, obviously, leading into it, we'd had the lack of signings and just the whole stadium was happening. So it's sort of like what happened to Arsenal at the Emirates time. It was already explained to the fans that when this is built, we're not going to spend as much. So we sort of have that expectation already. I didn't think that Spurs would push on, but I didn't expect the fallout to be as bad as it was over the next, I would say, year, but it's probably about 3 or 4 years, still slowly carrying on into now, probably just coming out of it, I'd say now, sort of that 5-year period where Spurs were pretty bad. And I, like, because that summer we went out, we spent money, Ndombele, Jack Clark, Ryan Sessegnon, like, and Ndombele coming in was one of the top youngsters in world football coming in. Bearman wanted him. Ryan Sessegnon in English football, he's the best championship young baller coming out.
Yeah.
Brought Lascelles, so he was doing his thing over in PSG, Ron Bettis and all these things. So I thought we brought in some good players, some good improvements. Obviously, we could have done more, but for what we needed, we brought in some decent players. I thought, yeah, Spurs could do another year, you know, pushing into the top 4, seeing where we go. But I can't lie, I was one of the ones that turned on Pochettino pretty quick that season. Because as you know, when you get to that point where you are with Arteta now, when you have got a manager 4 years or so, you understand their tendencies, what they're doing, how they're thinking. You've had more than enough to study this manager, know how he's going to go about certain things. And it got to that point, it's just like, you're not changing the way that we're playing. That's not working. You're still looking at the same solutions off the bench you was looking at 2 years ago. It's not working. The players, all of our best players had already left. We lost Ericsson, lost Dele, we'd lost all of Dian. Like, the team was getting picked apart at that point. So you could already see that we weren't the same Spurs, but I thought he could reinvent us. I'm not gonna lie, because I was one of them, man. Like, I was a top Pochettino fan. I loved him all the way up until the end. And even when I turned on him, it was still a case of, look, I have respect for him, but I feel like we need someone else in. So I had a decent expectation, but to be honest, I didn't think Spurs were going to go on and push on for the league that next year or anything like that. I still thought top 4, because the fact that we'd got top 4 the year before and got to Champions League final, that was already like mad. Like, wow, we've actually finished in top 4. We've done our thing again. You know, the fact that we pushed Arsenal out yet again, like no top 4 many years in a row at that point. So I can't lie, at that point, my savior was, we're going to finish above Arsenal next year. So that's all good, man. Like, as long as we finish above Arsenal next year, it's not going to be that bad. Until the roles reversed under, who was it? Under Conte again. Oh, no. Conte didn't actually stay until the end for the roles to reverse fully. But until the roles reversed, then it was just like, what's going on over here, man? So, yeah, boys. And it's still been like that since. So I can't really say much. Like, since then, it's not got much better.
Yeah, man. I mean, I expect it to stay like this for quite some time. I won't lie. So maybe you, man, have missed your magical moment to truly take advantage of Arsenal's shortcoming. I say that we've started this season off insanely a lot worse than what I thought we would in it. So I don't even know what happens going forward this season. I just have to hope and pray that over this international break that Arteta's really looked into a lot of key metrics and gone, you know what, maybe we try something new in it, but that's for another day in it. So look, yeah. Obviously, those that don't know, I found out when I went, obviously, because I had to ask you, you know, and you touched upon it briefly at the beginning. Ledley King and Gareth Bale are your favorite Tottenham players of all time. Yeah. I mean, why is that? Like, why Ledley King and Gareth Bale outside of all of the other like ballers that you've had at Tottenham?
Do you know what? Bale, most definitely, because, you know, all the moments he gave to us, all the, you know, he's that literally player that lifts you off your seat. Every time he's on the ball, you're standing up, you're like, something's going to happen here. I feel like we probably missed out of football nowadays. I don't feel like you have there isn't no wingers like Bale. I don't feel like there will be for a while, but we definitely haven't had a winger like Bale for many years now. And yeah, he's one of those players. especially because his rise was just like, oh, he's a decent left back to this is one of the best players in the world. Like he shot up so quick. And it was at that time where Spurs weren't really that good. So it was literally Bale was putting the team on his back, like Saka is now, as a young guy, putting the team on his back, and he's making everything happen. He's bagging goals, bagging winners. That goal against West Ham, one of my favorite goals in football ever. And when he just shifted it onto his left, because I remember I'm sitting there, I'm watching it, I'm like, he's not going to shoot that because it looks so far out, 40 yards out, man. Bang, top bins. I was just like, yeah, this guy's unreal. And it got to the point where he was generally scoring those types of goals for fun. Like, I remember that season, I think the last year he played for Spurs, he bagged 21 goals. I think 8 or 9 of them were out of the box, on the edge of the box, just top bins, left, right. And it was more of that, to be honest. He's one of the first players that brought Jogger Benito to Spurs, He's bringing a little bit of skill. He's showing them, man, that you got flair. And the fact that he was like a tall, built Welsh guy, it didn't make sense to man. Like, I know what the guys in the 90s were feeling when Giggs come on the scene and he's doing all jinky majinky and like you're seeing this guy, it's like, bro, like, and he can run, he's running like athletes, like Usain Bolt setting, blowing. So it's one of those ones, like it was like undeniable. Like you had to love Bale. If you like, even as a football fan, if you didn't like Tottenham, you had to like Bale. Bale made you fall in love with him. Whereas Ledley, it was more of when I become a Spurs fan, he'd already had that respect. He's like, that's Ledley. That's the guy. And like when you start watching him, you're really starting to take him in. And as I said, I'm a centre back as my trade. Obviously, when I was younger, I was you're a striker. You work your way down the field. But when I was actually my best at football, when I started to play at like a decent level, semi-pro and that, like that's when I started to see them as centre back. So I really started to appreciate everything Ledley done. And when you watch his game, when you look at him, even now when he's in and around the Spurs team or at Spurs, the presence he has it's like that respect he gives. He's one of those like that elder you just look up to. So for me, Ledley sort of just being a captain at Spurs, being the guy that captained us to our first trophy. And I remember specifically in that final, the performance he put in at the back with Jonathan Woodgate. I remember watching that. I went to the pub that game with my granddad. He's a Liverpool fan. And he was laughing. I remember that whole game, they're laughing. I'm like, Spurs ain't winning this. What you like? You getting gassed up? Spurs are shit. All of this rubbish. And I remember sitting there when we won, and I'm going mad. Like one of the only Tottenham fans in the pub. There's not really much of us at that time. I'm going mad. I'm like 10-year-old me. Yeah. What now? What? The Carabao Cup had me feeling nice. I would never be like that nowadays. Let me not lie. Way too shameless. Carabao Cup, I'd probably be like, you know what? Well done, boys. But that's about it. Like, I'm not really on that. FA Cup or something we can talk about. Yeah, no. Ledley King's he's literally like, he's like that uncle. You rate that guy. Like, you have to rate that guy because everyone rates him. So I come in and I already knew what he was on.
Yeah. No, I completely understand. And like, look, even as an Arsenal fan, I have to admit that actually, to be fair, both of them, fantastic ballers, man. And I mean, I don't know why they chose to live their life out at Spurs, but they did.
Let me just make it clear as well, yeah, because I see a lot of people in the chat, but also I do get asked this question in person as well. I never saw Sol Campbell with a Spurs shirt on. Like, I never saw it. So when people ask Sol Campbell this, Sol Campbell that, it was like he might have been great at Spurs. He's a Judas for one, so he'd never be a part of any Spurs team I build. But also, I generally never saw Sol Campbell in a Spurs shirt. I've only seen him in an Arsenal shirt as I was a football fan. So to me, he's always been a waste man. When I found out he played for Spurs, I was like, what? What? This guy's the devil. This guy is Judas, like literally the devil at that point. So just the fact that I found out he played for Spurs was the icing on the cake. I was like, this guy, I'm never gonna like him even more.
Oh man, do you know what's even more crazy? Yeah, do you know an Arsenal manager actually won a trophy for Spurs?
Who?
George Graham.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. See, like. So as like I say, we help out little brother. You know what I mean? We help out little bro be successful, man. So you know them way there. But I hear that. Like one thing that, because obviously I was of an age where I can comprehend football when Sol Campbell made that switch. And like to me, it was like raw, like arguably Tottenham's best player, arguably is debatable, is joining Arsenal. Damn, what and I was just going to all my Spurs brethren, yo, that's a mad L, like crazy. You're right. He really wants to win a trophy that bad. Say no more. And obviously we looked after him nicely in it. So, thank you, Spurs. I have to say thank you, Spurs, because he helped out Invincible. Them way there. It's different. Them way there. but look, yeah. Do you know what? Yeah, I think it's I may already know the answer, but to be fair, as it stands right now, I would say you're kind of struggling to a degree in both of these positions where both of these players played in it. So if you could pick any one of them, so Bale and Ledley King, to come in their prime, obviously in their prime, to come back to this Spurs team right now, who would you pick and why?
Bale. Bale takes this team to most definitely top 4. I know that he's done an even worse Spurs team to top 4, so no doubt about that. But I think you add Bale into this Tottenham team, he brings everything we need on an attacking sense, as in the right wing's our biggest problem. Brennan Johnson, not creative, can't take his man on. Bale does everything this guy can't do, as well as we don't have an X-factor player. We need someone in not just the midfield and front line, but we need someone in our team that has got the ability to make those game-changing moments. I feel like Tottenham for a while now, obviously since Harry Kane left and since Son's no longer the player that he used to be. He's 33 years old this year, so more than understandable at this point. But they can't give us moments no more. Like, we haven't got any player that just, you look at them, they're going to dribble the ball, beat 2-3 man, bang it, goal. And that's it. Like, the game's done. We ain't got none of those. So Bale adds that element. Plus, I feel like we need his arrogance a bit. Like, I know, even though he doesn't do a lot of the speaking in the media and stuff, just from the way that he plays, is Bale has so much belief in himself. The fact you saw my man do overhead kick in Champions League final from the edge of the box shows you the amount of belief that this guy has in himself, and the arrogance that I'm going to do this whether you man think I should or not. Like, no matter what Ronaldo's going to tell me, I'm playing my game. We need a player like that. I feel like we missed that heavy, especially we ain't got no arrogant players at Spurs. No one that wants to take the onus in the game and be like, I'm going to run this game, or, you know what, fuck what the manager says, I'm going to do this. Like, you need that player in your team sometimes, and too many nice guys, way too many nice guys at Spurs right now. So I feel like he'd probably bring that. Maybe not like the actual arrogance with the way he portrays himself, but the way that he plays on the pitch, 100%.
I can't lie. Bale in his prime, in Ange's system that favors attacking football, is
flying, bro. I reckon he's literally going to go, look, Bill, you sit up there, wait for them to get you the ball, and just run down that wing, just terrorize left backs.
It's dangerous, man. Do you know what? Yeah, just a quick question. Yeah, just because obviously we're talking about Bale. Yeah, do you know when Bale came back to Spurs? Yeah, did you think? Yeah, that. Did you think that more was gonna happen? I mean, in regards to like you man actually securing some silverware, because on paper, like, this is how I viewed it on paper. Yeah, you had a pretty decent team at the time. You had Harry Kane, who was just killing it, like killing it. And all I'm thinking in my head, at least, is raw Bale from Madrid. Yeah, we all saw what he did at Madrid. Like, don't get me wrong, when he was at Tottenham the first time, like, you could clearly see, like, he baller in it. But I feel like Bale was coming back to Spurs after literally, like, solidifying himself as, like, arguably, at the time at least, top 5 wingers in world football, was coming back to Spurs from having, like, Bale's coming back with, like, that kind of, that winning mentality that, like, everyone speaks of. Like, he's coming back into the squad. I'm thinking, whoa, Spurs might do something, because I'm thinking that Bale, Kane, Son was there as well, right? I'm not wrong.
Bale, Kane,
I'm thinking Bale, Kane, Son. Wow, that's crazy, bro. Like, as a front three, that's insane. Did you expect a bit more to happen with him coming back?
Yeah, I did. I'd be lying if I said I didn't. I definitely expected more. I thought, this is the year. That was Mourinho's first season where he got a full summer. I think it's fair to say Mourinho's signings were pretty much terrible. I think he just Do you know what? I'd love to sit there and defend it, but Mourinho just signed a lot of players that didn't work out for us. He played for his system, and I feel like, to be honest, it's at that point where Mourinho's career was a bit finished. So we had that one way of playing. I don't feel like Bale suited Mourinho football. So bringing Bale in to play that football and having that front three, but not playing expansive football, didn't really add up. Although there were some good moments, and he brought back some good times. And, you know, I was watching Bale sometimes and doing these little things. It's like, raw, vintage Bale was back. He even bagged like 11 goals that year. Somehow, like the fact that he bagged 11 goals and he only played like 20 games or something. He was injured quite a lot of it and he only come on for second. So I think that did play into it too, was we thought we're getting Bale back, but we got a half injured Bale that just, you know, played 20, 30-minute games, 45 minutes here and there, but couldn't really play that much, trying to protect himself for Wales, in it, which is fair enough. He's old at that point. So I didn't expect that Spurs would do something, but ultimately we did get to a final that year. Daniel Levy done what Daniel Levy done, which is crazy. I don't really speak too much about Daniel Levy and co and the board at Spurs, but that move was absolutely insanity. Like, I can't believe that we sacked the manager the week of a final. And don't get me wrong, I was trying to defend it at the time. I'm thinking, like, they don't want to give Mourinho money. Fuck the money, bro. Fuck contract. I want to win something. That's it at the end of the day. I want to win something. Like, they shouldn't be sitting here thinking, oh, we're going to have to pay Mourinho an extra 8 million if he wins this weekend. Like, go and win. If you have to pay him that extra 8 million, you pay him that 8 million. Like, you're going to win, make that back in sales and whatever you want to build upon us winning. So, for me, I didn't really expect too much. It'd be wrong for me to say I thought that we was going to do a mad thing, but also it was one of those, it's like, you wanted to see a better return in it, and the fact that there was no fans that season, that was obviously COVID year 2020 to 2021. It was COVID year, so I didn't actually get to see him play in a Spurs shirt again. Like that was one of the things that disappointed me more than anything. I'll be real, man. Just wanted to go to a game, experience Bale in the flesh. I ain't experienced that kind of flesh from when I was a kid, and they're just memories at this point.
That's true, you know. I actually completely forgot about that. Well, he actually came back in the season where fans couldn't actually go and watch games live.
Yeah, he never got that reception. Like, he never, when Omri come home 2012 FA, like, he never got that reception. He never got nothing. I was just there. Birds were tweeting and shit, bro.
All right, sweet. So look, last final question from me, innit? All right, what does being a fan mean to you? And can you imagine a world without Spurs?
Nah, man. Can't imagine a world without Spurs. Couldn't imagine a world without football. Literally, I'm Spurs. As you know, us man as streamers. Like, we're streaming every week because we love this shit. We do it for the love of the game more than anything. Like, I've been streaming for years. Just because man love Spurs. Man, love my club. Man, I want to put my club on the map. As I said, like, man, my one thing is, me as a Tottenham fan, one thing I want to make clear is I'm not one of these guys that are there. You know, there's certain guys that want to get onto their team. They want to talk about what's bad. They want to talk. Like, I'm a fan. Like, I'm a fan of my club. I love my club more than anything. I want the best for my team. So, and in that, I'm gonna try to focus on the positives. I'm gonna try, in my mind, always think about this is going good, this is going well. So I feel like you have to support your club unconditionally. That's one thing I say as a fan. Obviously, everyone has their own ways, and there is different ways to support. There is no right way, but in showing support, that's being positive. That's trying to see the good. So that's one thing I try to do as a fan. As for Spurs especially, is put us on the map, be positive about Spurs, and just know that Tottenham a small club, bro. We're doing our thing. We've been doing our thing. We're coming back, and we're here at the big boy table. We just need to see that investment from the owners. We need to see the backing from the club to actually take us there, footballing wise. But everything outside of that, I know we're there. I know as Spurs fans, there's a lot of us out there that are sad. You know, they think about all the bad. But Tottenham are just a few steps away, a few right decisions. We're gonna be up there. And that's one thing I just go out there as a fan, as a Spurs fan. I try to spread my love and joy of Spurs, make other people fall in love with Spurs. In that journey, I do make a lot of people hate us, but it's cool, man. As they call me, the professional rattler at times. So if I'm gonna rattle a couple rival fans, getting them to respect my club, if they ain't gonna like us, they're gonna respect us. That's one thing.
100. No. I hear that. I'm a believer that, you know, every fan, regardless of what club you support, you're entitled to like support your club how you choose to support your club in it. I don't think it's right for anyone to really dictate how you support a club. Like, don't get me wrong, like there's always like we can troll each other in it. Like we're always gonna troll each other in it.
Yeah.
But I do think that, you know, when we decide to step away from the trolling and the tribalism and actually just sit down and have a conversation about football, I think that's when you find out like everyone's just really a fan at heart in it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, no, I completely hear that. So like, look, love for coming through, bro. I appreciate the time, you know, you gave me to jump on the show. People just make sure, obviously, you in the chat right now and all the people that watch this on playback, that you're doing the following. You're subscribing to Durag Diaries, you know, Jords. His channel is in the description. It is in the title. There's no excuses. You are liking, you know, the video on your way out as well. You know, make sure you're liking the video, you know, because then it gives people the most chance to watch this back. And I'm sure there's a lot of Tottenham fans that, you know, would love to see, you know, a real Tottenham fan actually speak his truth about the club. Make sure you're dropping a comment on the video as well. It helps with the algorithms. It gets it out there. And make sure, as a final point, you are subscribing to the village, innit? Because we need hella Shinobi up in the village, because we got hella missions that we need to do. And for us to be successful, we need more people in it. It is what it is, innit? I think we're on like 1.63K.
Pushing, man. I'm pushing.
Yeah,
I'm seeing there's even a couple Ambu members in there. Like I'm seeing a couple real ones. Like they're holding it down, like doing their thing. So big up to the village, then, man. They're really out here growing. It's good to see all the growth and everyone's really locking it in. Make sure you like, subscribe, all of that on this. This is housekeeping at this point, man. Man, I'm giving you that time. That's all you can do. Is the least is just drop a little like on the channel, man. For real.
Yeah, man. We don't ask so much in it. We don't ask so much.
Really
we don't ask so much. But love for everybody that tuned in, and we'll catch you next time. Blessings.
Bless up, man.